think there's no one that was a great start. Totalitarian answer to this. There's several things that can be done though, and several steps that can be taken. Firstly, when it comes to event planning, society, sports teams, etc., is prioritising the budget and the way it's going to be spent. Obviously, there's certain things that I think we can cut back on. Again, there's certain things that I think needs to have more money spent on it. But when we narrow down those different factors and we know exactly how much to spend on each particular element, we'll be able to save a lot of money for the union, and that will help us in turn get out of that debt. Well, I'm very glad you asked that question in particular, because at the moment I do know that a lot of students in Newport feel that we are underrepresented in a lot of areas, parties and events being one, and societies. What I plan to do is to work with the other VPs from Treforest and Cardiff as well, to try and work out a system in which that no one campus gets prioritised, but in particular that Newport gets the fair funding and fair respect that it deserves. What I'd also like to do as well is see a lot more advertising around campus. This will mean communicating through a lot more mediums that are being used at the moment and not purely relying on Facebook, which a lot of people have accused the union of doing. There's going to be different methods such as a YouTube channel, much more postering and flyering and tangible advertising materials, and as well as a couple of other ideas that are in the pipeline. I also welcome any student ideas on the matter as well. I think it's very important to listen to students and their opinion, because it's their opinion that counts. This is your union. The Vice President position encapsulates quite a large area of work. Obviously, you're in charge of making sure all the different sports teams and societies, etc., are catered for and they're all fairly represented within the union. Obviously, equality is a large part of this union and a large part of this university. So you would be therefore in charge of making sure that that was always maintained to a high standard at all times. As well as that, of course, there is the social aspect. Of course, you've got activities, events, etc., advertising for said events. And I think, as I've mentioned before on campus occasions, that this really will be paramount for the next academic year's success. As well as that, student educational welfare and just student welfare as general. I do plan that students are going to have somebody there to talk to about their problems or ideas, which I would personally welcome to hear student ideas. And I think it's important that the Vice President, whoever he or she may be, caters to those students. It's not all about Killeen, it's not all about City, it's about Newport as a whole. I mean, Facebook and social media are great. It requires very little time and effort, but then not everyone has Facebook, not everyone uses Facebook. So what other ways, what other avenues are there to explore with interacting with students? I think firstly, a strong campus presence on both campuses is very necessary. Whether it not be myself personally, I think it should definitely be somebody, some member of the union should always be available, especially within sort of lecture hours, for students to talk to. Otherwise you have students feeling singled out and students feeling that their voices aren't being heard. So that's going to be a paramount part of my plan, should I get elected, is that there will be a lot more presence on both campuses. I took on several roles whilst as my time as a student and a member of staff here. I think it's important to remember that the SU, although are solely responsible for all these events and activities, etc. that get mentioned, it's us, the students, that make these events happen. Without us, they're nothing, and without SU, students are nothing. It really is a collaborative part to play. I think participation within events, just plain and simple, is very important. It's all very well saying, oh, I don't want to go to this event or that event because I don't think it's going to be very good. But if everyone thinks in that mindset, then no, it's not going to be. I think it's important that we all get involved as much as possible in everything in our university across both campuses, whether it's academic or it's social. I've also used to do a lot of work with the SU, setting up events, May balls, etc. I also just happen to have in my working and academic background, and thanks to my university course, a lot of experience in event organisation and event management, so hopefully that'll play to my part. But as I say though, a student's part within their SU is equally important as their sabbatical officers. There's multiple ways that this can be approached. I think the main thing here is that any campaign, whether it be this campaign or other campaigns, need to be supported fully by all students from different demographics, from different factions, from different backgrounds. I plan to support this campaign and any other campaign in any way I can. I want to try and be on call as much as I possibly can to those parties involving it. I do plan to give my full support in as many ways as possible. Obviously, budget will be an issue. As much as I can allocate fairly, it will be allocated. And any other help that is asked of me by any other individual, I'm always here. I'm always willing to listen to ideas and suggestions. I'll try and follow them up and help out as much as I can.